You ask me, where's the money? Where's the money? I mean, I don't know where the money is. I've never been good with figures, you know that. I don't know anything about math. It was never my good subject. I don't know where the money is.
Hello everybody, welcome to Where's the Money? Oh, Doug, you're there. I know you are. My name is Rob Woodbridge.
Where is the money, sir?
My name is Rob Woodbridge, obviously from Untether.tv. With me, as always, Mr. Doug Soltis, somewhere over here, that way right over there. Douglas, obviously what we're doing today is Localmind. We're going to dive into the mind of local, if you will. Great little company that... I think was birthed really in Montreal. Now they're in California. We have been following these guys for quite some time, Lenny and crew. But now we're going to try to figure out where's the money for these guys, right?
Yeah. We obviously have to claim them first as a Canadian company, and then we can discuss them.
Well, I know that they came to Montreal, stole a bunch of iOS developers, and moved them down to California. So what does that mean? Thievery! Thievery! I love it. Well... rather than actually going into talking through what these guys do and doing and butchering what these guys do, what we're going to do is we're actually going to pull up some real words Lenny talked about, because I actually got to sit down with Lenny way back in the day, and actually when they launched their version 2.0. So I'm going to let Lenny actually tell us what these guys do. Here he is. Here's Lenny Rachitsky, the co-founder of Localmind.
The way that I love to describe it is basically Localmind gives you superpowers. It gives you this ability to know anything.
Can I fly?
What did you say?
Can I fly?
Maybe. Yep. There's actually an Easter egg I'll tell you about in the app.
Nice.
Doesn't quite solve that problem yet. But yeah, so the way I like to think about it is kind of the superpower of knowing anything you want to know about a place right now. Basically omniscience. And the way it does that is it connects you to people that are on the ground right now in a specific location, or people that know a lot about that place that you're interested in. And so we'll get into what we're doing with 2.0 versus what was before.
Localmind does. If you didn't get it, what Localmind is basically is a location-based Q&A that is a real-time Q&A. So if you are interested in going somewhere and you want to find out what the lineups or what the scene is like, you can send somebody who's close to it, who's become an expert of that place, and you'll get feedback. Doug, you had a recent experience. Let's quickly talk about that.
Yeah, so it's I guess the big thing that differentiates it is that social aspect, right? So the Q&A is with live people, and I'd been testing out the app recently. Saw your interview with Lenny right before South by Southwest. Thought it was cool. I was playing with the app, and I'm just in my area, just asking questions, seeing like what kind of responses I would get, who would be helpful. So I just asked about restaurants around my area. People immediately get back to you. Like, it gives you an estimated time of who's going to get back to you. Got back right away. Ended up knowing one of the people who got back to me. And after like a 15-minute conversation through Localmind, just talking about restaurants and how we use the app and things like that, realizing that I knew this person through a mutual friend in Ottawa. And I don't know if that's something Localmind's doing, that in matching our social graphs, being like, oh, this person knows some people that this other person knows, so they're going to be more likely to answer. But it was a really cool moment where, like, you don't get that experience when you're using something like Yelp or Foursquare. I wasn't looking at tips or to-dos or just basic data. A person was giving me some advice on where to go based upon like the times and conditions and things. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's if you're skeptical of a service like this, all you need to hear is a couple of stories like that, and it shows you how small this community really is. But, last number count, they were talking about 20,000 users, but that was from July of 2011. I know that there are many more now. It was rated Scoble's favorite app of South by Southwest 2011, and it kind of catapulted these guys. They raised some money, went to Real Ventures in Montreal, and now we're going to try to figure out how these guys are going to make money. And we're going to keep this within a very short time frame. Got about 10 minutes left to discuss this through. So who wants to go first here, Doug? Do you want me to go first here?
Well, I want you to tell me, so you always talk about whether apps are their own standalone product or the feature of another product. And I really like this app, but even the friend that I was talking to uses this app as a Foursquare companion. And Localmind uses Foursquare data. So tell me if this is a standalone product, first of all.
It's a really good question. I think that what makes this, what's going to make or break this as a standalone product is really whether or not they can get the user base up there. And it's really if they can engage with locations to get them to pay, to get them to advertise, to get them to sponsor the application. So is this a standalone application? I think this is probably not as it currently stands. I think that what is going to end up happening here is that this is a service that belongs in certain applications. Now, what's great about Localmind is that it would get lost in something like Foursquare right now, don't you think?
Yeah, and even the way that Localmind works as an application, it was a little like they do a really good job of trying to train you in the beginning of like, hey, things are happening, you should try this out, so you use the features and understand it. But even then, it's much more complex than what Foursquare is, and I could see adding that into Foursquare. It would take a lot of work to integrate it properly.
It would, and I think that's one of the big challenges is that it might be a natural fit for something like Foursquare inside of Foursquare. I think it's probably much more of a natural fit into something that was Gowalla beforehand than Foursquare. But so I think that's why it's going to stand alone. And I think that just like Foursquare in its early days was about check-ins, and they've morphed into about discovery, I think that Localmind has that opportunity to do the same thing. So with their latest version, they've integrated two-way communication. So once you're connected to somebody, you always have an open connection to be able to reach out to them later on. So it is a relationship builder, but it's around a specific location. And these companies, I like Lenny, I like Bo, I like these guys. They're very smart, and they've got an understanding of this space. And they're right up there. I mean, they're way ahead of a lot of these guys that are doing social Q&A, and especially around location. But I think that there's an opportunity for them to extend this and really build a business. So let's really talk about that right now. Do you have any ideas for them? This is free advice.
Well, yeah, so free advice, well, the initial advice that I would say is go perfect your algorithm and then get a sweet payday from Facebook. But yes. if they're going alone because they're really cool guys, and the care that is in this app is obvious. In the previous interview, you were talking about the secret Easter egg, which I tried out. It's just fun little things like that. So how do we help these guys? I think the easiest way is if you look at, they need some way for brands to interact with the little social sphere of users that they have here. Because the coolest thing about this data is that it's not just check-in data. It's not like flat data. There's sentiment here. You're asking people questions about not only where to go, but like, is it too slow on a Friday night? Is the server a jerk? Are the things that I want to buy here, are they good quality? Or like, all those things that brands really care about beyond just the kind of flat metrics of growth or frequency. It's like getting a real sense of how people on the ground are associating with the brand. So being able to engage with those people and use them as evangelists, or offer them bonuses and deals for their participation and speaking to you. Like if you're someone who's just like recommending restaurant X around your local area and you're an expert for that area, there's a huge opportunity there. And then getting a local brand to provide deals like, oh, hey, someone just told you to go to this restaurant, we'll give you a free gift certificate for your first time. I think they have an easier path to engaging with small businesses than someone like Foursquare did, simply because there is that more personal engagement than just saying, hey, I'm the mayor, so give me something free, or I checked in, what does that get me?
Totally agree with that. Because I think that if, there's two sides to this. There's enticing new customers and rewarding existing customers. And if you've got some people that are out there as brand ambassadors to whether it's a restaurant, a retail outlet, a city, a province, a country, I don't care what it is, you have an opportunity to be able to reward those people if you are the brand. And nothing works better than warm referrals, right? That's how most people get business. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. I also look at the next level that these guys could get into, which is around, it might sound stupid, but there's a big business in being a tour guide, in a location Q&A, and servicing your customers when you're in an art gallery or museum or you're a tourist in a city. And I think that smart cities, smart locations are going to start to use a tool like Localmind, pay Localmind to enable this across the city. So if you have any questions about the city of Toronto, if you have any questions about the subway or the construction or holidays or something like that, something like Localmind could be that real-time Q&A. You see it on the web. Why isn't this in mobile? Why isn't it about every location that you're in? Why isn't it about education? That's where I see that's big opportunity and uplift. Challenge is, these guys don't have a lot of money to spend.
Well, they don't have a lot of money. They don't necessarily have the user base to justify yet to really attract those big brands. And it took Foursquare a really long time to get, Starbucks had to commit, and then that was a big deal. But I think the one thing, with you're talking about allowing brands or industries to participate, I understand the value of that. The whole application breaks the minute one of those brands or services offers advice that isn't 100% accurate or honest, or it is kind of spammy. Because for me, I've had 2 or 3 people help me out with recommendations, and I've helped them out with answering questions. I feel like I owe them a solid because they made my day easier. If I have a brand coming in and speaking to me after I've just been told that actually the restaurant's really crappy right now because it's going under construction, or for a variety of reasons, or misrepresenting in a way that they would, or not misrepresenting, but obviously putting their brand in a positive light in the way that they would on Facebook and Twitter, that's going to clutter and kill the application. So if it's something like Tourism Canada, just be providing helpful information it's Canadian Music Week this week. Here are all the venues playing shows, kind of like what we were talking about. That South by Southwest is where's the best place that I can be for parties and things. And I know Localmind specifically did an update around that for South by Southwest. So I think there's value there, but they have to, how do they vet against brand activity there? It's really dangerous.
You're right. There's a kind of a disingenuous piece that could fall into this. And I think that the community should police that very clearly. And if the community's not policing that, then you're right, it can end up basically spam bot. But if you think about this, City of Ottawa, it's a small city. It's a nation's capital. For those of you who don't know, it is the capital of Canada, not Toronto, Ottawa.
Or Montreal.
Right? So it is the tourist board here in Ottawa has closed down some of the tourist info shops in the downtown core, which is the tourist area where most people hang in the city for tourism. And what they were going to do was blanket the city with free Wi-Fi and have some, this is so silly, and have people wandering around with iPads with big orange shirts on so you can go and talk to them about touristy things. But here's an opportunity. Everybody's carrying a smartphone. Just equip the city with Localmind and get those guys just sitting in a call center somewhere responding to questions about tourism in the city of Ottawa. I think that there's a real opportunity for something like that. When it comes to things like restaurants or brands, I think that the enticement factor is key. Is that, listen, we all know this, is that maybe there's some advertising around, and I don't like this very much, but you can see this kind of happening where I say, hey, Doug, or hey, somebody at this bar or this restaurant, what's the wait like? And if the wait hits a threshold, somebody comes back, it's 30 minutes, bing, a little ad pops up or a little notification pops up, says, oh, did you know that there's only a 19-minute wait around the corner? And that's an algorithm fix that they could actually benefit some of these restaurants around the corner that are working.
Yeah, building the management tool for that is going to be really burdensome, though, and I don't know how far it takes them off their development path. To that example, some of the people that I've been talking to have said, like, you know, they've been asked that question, like, what's the wait line for this thing? And the person who answered the question was already inside the club, and then put the other person's name on the list, just get them in easier, because you do have that. I think all the helping, the social element should come from the users, because that makes it a way more sticky environment. And I think Lenny talked about that in the interviews. Like, the first time you get a question answered and someone like really saves your butt or helps you out in like a minute after you ask the question, that's extremely powerful. So if it's more around the idea, like maybe they start by just selling the sentiment information to those locations and saying, hey, people are really saying this about your company. If you invest in Localmind, we can let you know what people on the ground are saying about your what your product, your business, to each other earnestly. And companies at that level, they love the sentiment information. It's the only way that they can find some way to tell, without like focus group testing, which is complete BS, to understand what their customers are saying about their product.
It's basically silent shoppers, right? But
yeah.
but mining the data. And that's what this ultimately it's going to come down to, is that data layer, because they're collecting a lot of it. They're not collecting it on every business. So, you know, they have to grow that user base. And I think that's the impediment. They have to grow that user base of people using Localmind, and in order to be able to collect the data, to be able to actually drive to sentiment. But yeah, I agree. Data is going to be king. Data is a key for all of these companies, from Foursquare all the way down. And I do believe that if they do start to sell that there's only a certain number of companies that would leverage that at this point. Large chains, large brands. And I think that you have to have a stronger user base in order to be able to do that. All right, Doug. I think that Localmind is going to be around for a little while longer. I don't think that they're going anywhere. I do believe that this is a strong idea. At the forefront of these ideas, they were ahead of their time a year ago. I think that they're still driving towards that. And I think the real-time information is going to be key, because it's going to open up other avenues. You agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I think the app is getting better. I think the 2.0 update was it's really good. It's still not easy enough for my mom to use, which is going to really hurt uptake. But if they can figure that out, that they can maybe get the growth. But honestly, like I think we should just close it up by posing this question to other audiences. If Facebook or Google or Foursquare shows up with just a giant sack of gold bullion, how do they say no?
They don't, and they shouldn't. Nobody should say no to a giant sack. Like, if they can get Kevin Rose, they can. These guys are in that realm as well. What do you think? If these guys, do you think that they stand a chance to be standalone? Do you think that they get picked up by somebody else, or do you think somebody else just builds this service into their product and just extends their reach that way? Love to hear from you. I like this company. I like Lenny. I like Bo. I know Doug does as well. It's a useful application. What do you think? What do you think? Bring it. That's it. Episode number 8 for Where's the Money? Localmind. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.
Bye, Mrs. Woodbridge.